Hey gang, Professor Feeser here, and on today's episode, we're going to get started coding with Python. There is no prerequisite save you have a GitHub account and are signed in. If you don't have a GitHub account, I do have a video on making an account, but it's pretty straightforward. Go to github.com, hit sign up, follow the steps they walk you through, and you'll be ready to get started. Once you're signed in with your GitHub account, go to github.com/new. And this allows us to create a new repository. You do not need a template. The owner can be yourself. The repository name, let's make this all the same. Let's call it learning-python-via-codewithfeeser. Learning Python via Codewithfeeser. In the description, let's put Python learning about Python via Codewithfeeser. That's fine. Make it public. Add a README. It's always best practice to have a README. A git ignore typically reflects the language that you are coding in. So we would choose Python. A language, if you want, GNU is fine. Generally, they're there to protect your code. And we can hit create repository. All right, so there we have our git ignore, our license, our README. The README is reflected down at the bottom. We want to add a Python file. And we can do that from GitHub. Go ahead and hit this green code button, and if it opens on Codespace is great. If it opens on local, click over to Codespaces, and in the center, click Create Codespace on Main. This is going to create a place where we can code, and when we come up with something we like, we can then push it into our repository. So think of this as like an extension of your desktop. Anything you do here isn't necessarily being automatically saved to the repository. After this is loaded, hover over in the Explorer, hover over Learning Python via Code, and you'll see a new file button. Click that. And let's call the file print to CLI.py. And make sure you call it that. Don't call it print.py. That will cause errors if you do. Call it print-2-CLI.py. Py is the extension that means Python. Now, when I hit enter on this, two things are going to happen. One, a tab's going to open up and say start coding here. The other is, and I'm perfectly in the way of it, but right behind me is going to be a pop-up that says, do you want to install an extension from Microsoft? Right. And that extension there, you can see the green button behind my shoulder. You can hit install on that. That's not installing Python, gang. That is installing support for Python. Python's already here. This is just additional tools for VS Code to abstract working with Python. Let that run. When it finishes, close the tab. We're going back to our coding space. All right, so we're going to start with a thing called a shebang. That's a octothorpe !user/bin/env space Python. That simply tells us, if we're a Linux bash, say, interpreter, shell would tell us, hey, this is, look for the environmental variable Python and toss this script to Python. This is who should actually be executing this code. It won't do much on a Windows machine, but it's a good guide. It's a good heads up that, okay, this is a Python script. Next point of best practice would be 3, 1, 2, 3 ticks. And if you're in Visual Studio, it'll make the concluding 3 double quotes. I said ticks, double quotes. And then put a comment about what you're doing. Learning to print to the screen. You can hit enter if you want. You can have multiple lines. So maybe I want to have learning to print to the screen down here, and on the first line I want like an author. Anything, however you want to set up your multi-line string is fine. When it's at the top of a script like this, it's called a documentation string. And its job is exactly what it sounds like. It's to document what the script is going to do. Now, next best practice would be put our code in a function. But let's just get a success. We're not going to build a function to run our print function. Let's just put print here. Print is a function that is available out of the box with Python. As long as Python's installed, you have access to print. And the Visual Studio support that we got gives us this pop-up here. It says, hey, here's how you use it. And if it's your first time, that seems intimidating, but ultimately it is useful. For right now, let's just put a double quote, and inside of there, let's put a string that we want to appear to the screen. I am learning about Python via code with Feeser. That's fine. You don't have to end the line any special way other than a double quote and a colon. Parentheses like that. All right, it's time to run our script. To run the script, you can hit the play button up here. I'll show you two ways to run it. It should say run Python file. Just left click that. And down at the bottom, it shows I am learning about Python via code with Feeser. That's what we expected. The other way would be down here, just type Python space print-2-cli.py. That would be a manual way to trigger the run. But let's say that we're satisfied with this. We like this script. It seems to execute well. We want to add it to our repository. It's not actually there yet. To add it on the left, we need to click on the circles connected by lines. And then under the source control changes, hit the plus sign for stage changes. And the A means added, so it's ready to be saved. Give us a message here. Let's say our first Python script, and then we'll hit the commit button. And finally, sync changes is what pushes it from our local environment to GitHub. Say OK. And we can actually close that tab. We're done here. If we go back to our repo and hit refresh, you can see there we have print to CLI just showed up. There we go. That's our first Python script. Wow, gang, that was so simple. Right? We made a GitHub account. We tossed a script in there. We had actually GitHub run it for us, and we committed it to our repository. That was great. If you learned something, give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe so I can see you in the next episode of Code with Feeser.